A Boeing 747 was on the runway, all ready to take off. Amidst dense fog, the pilot raised the thrust lever and turned on the headlights, and the aircraft had now crossed takeoff speed. A speed from which returning is almost impossible. But at this very moment, a shadow started appearing in the fog, and this shadow was of another Boeing 747, which was now just a few meters away in the opposite direction on the same runway. It is very difficult to even imagine what happened after this. The question is, how did things reach this point? What was the air traffic controller doing? And what was that small mistake that led to the most dangerous accident in aviation history? This tragic incident occurred in Spain's Canary Islands, which the world remembers today as the Tenerife airport disaster. Once again, flattery in game studio videos. Viewers, this story begins on March 26, 1977, a day before the accident. When Pan Am Flight 1736, a Boeing 747 jumbo jet, takes off from Los Angeles Airport. It had to land in New York and pick up some passengers, and then its final destination was Las Palmas, a city in the Canary Islands across the ocean. It was a chartered flight, and hence was fully booked with mostly older passengers who intended to enjoy the cruise in Las Palmas. Las Palmas is the capital of the Canary Islands, the southernmost part of Spain, about 100 kilometers off the coast of Morocco. This place is very famous all over the world due to its tropical climate. But in 1977, there was a political tension hidden behind the beautiful branch of the Canary Islands. There was a group here called the MPHIIAC. It was raising its voice for the independence of the Canary Islands from Spain, and for this campaign,
Pan Am Flight 1736 picked up passengers from New York's JFK International Airport and departed for Las Palmas Island. Its cabin crew included Captain Victor Grubbs, 56, First Officer Robert Brake, 39, and Flight Engineer George Vaughan, 46, as well as 13 flight attendants and 380 passengers. These were all the details of Pan Am Flight 1736, which was now cruising over the Atlantic Ocean. Now let us come to the other ship which was to become victim of the same accident. KLM Flight 4805 was being prepared at Amsterdam Airport in the Netherlands. This was also a Boeing 747 and was also to go to Las Palmas city in the Canary Islands. Its cockpit included 50-year-old Captain Jacob, 42-year-old First Officer Klaas, and 48-year-old Flight Engineer William. There were 11 flight attendants and 235 passengers on board. KLM Flight 4805 takes off from Amsterdam International Airport after boarding. Now both these aircraft were headed towards Las Palmas Airport in Canary Islands. Meanwhile, at Las Palmas Airport, two men walk towards the terminal building, leave a bag outside a flower shop, and disappear. A bag containing a bomb with a countdown timer. At exactly 1 p.m., a phone call comes in at the Las Palmas airport reception. The man on the other side revealed his association with the MPAIAC group, the same group that was mentioned at the beginning of the video, said that there were going to be bomb blasts at Las Palmas airport in the next 15 minutes. The airport staff immediately swung into action and evacuated the entire Las Palmas airport within 15 minutes, and their stampede turned into terror when exactly 15 minutes later a massive explosion occurred. Due to this blast, a large part of the roof of the terminal building collapsed. But after this, all the activities at Las Palmas airport were suspended. Many flights were cancelled and the flights that were supposed to land here were diverted. Shortly after, KLM Flight 4805 from Amsterdam was approaching Las Palmas, but the air traffic controller informed them about the explosion at the airport and instructed the flight to land at the airport on Tenerife Island, which is 110 kilometers from here. Was far away. The KLM captain landed the plane on runway 30 at Tenerife Airport at 1:38 p.m. after a 25-minute flight. At the same time, Pan Am Flight 1736 from New York had also reached near Las Palmas and was diverted to Tenerife Airport. At this time, almost all the flights were being diverted to Tenerife Airport as it was the nearest airport. Now the rush at Tenerife Airport was increasing rapidly. Let us tell you here that Tenerife Airport is really a small airport in the hilly area. Its height is around 2,000 feet, very close to the Atlantic Ocean. This area is surrounded by high mountains, and that is why when the moist winds of the Atlantic Ocean collide with the mountains and move upwards, they immediately cool down and turn into clouds. And it is very normal for all this to happen here suddenly. Visibility was perfect when the Pan Am flight and the KLM flight landed at Tenerife Airport. But now suddenly the visibility here had reduced due to clouds. When there were clouds on the runway, the visibility would reduce to 300 meters and the next moment to 2 kilometers. Everything started appearing clear till far away. Now it was not confirmed at the moment how long he had to stay at the airport. The passengers were disembarked so that they could freshen up a bit after the long flight. Meanwhile, KLM Flight 4805, which was headed back to Amsterdam, decided to get its fuel tank refilled here so that when Las Palmas Airport reopens, time would not be wasted in refueling there.
They had just begun refueling when news arrived that Las Palmas was open. Both flights re-onboarded passengers, but the taxiway was blocked due to KLM refueling. Tenerife Airport is a small airport with just one runway, one taxiway, and an apron where the terminal is located, which you can see in this animation. It was quite abnormal to have so much rush here, and that too of Boeing jumbo jets. KLM 4805 was unable to leave the Pan Am Air terminal and take to the runway due to refueling. Tini was told that he would have to wait near the terminal until KLM's refueling was completed. At 4:45, the KLM's refueling was completed and the captain prepared to move off the taxiway. Now, because the apron was full of other ships which were also blocking the taxiway, then in order to reach the east end of the runway for takeoff, the controller instructed the KLM pilots who were parked on the west side of the taxiway to taxi on the runway, go to the extreme east end, take a 180-degree turn and prepare for takeoff. When KLM 4805 began taxiing, the controller instructed Pan Am Air to follow KLM on the runway but enter the taxiway via exit C3, as KLM 4805 was scheduled to take off on this runway. Visibility was very poor and was getting worse with each passing minute. KLM 4805 taxied across the entire runway, made a 180-degree turn at the eastern end, and came into takeoff position. The pilots of Pan Am Air also began taxiing on the runway, but due to fog, they were able to see exit C1 and C2 but missed exit C3, because the C3 exit was leading back to the apron. Maybe that's why he couldn't see C3. Secondly, there was also a lack of sign marks at Tenerife Airport. Runway exits are indicated on the terminal itself.
But here, these sign marks were missing. When Pan Am Flight 736 was crossing C2, at that very moment, the captain of KLM 4805 asked the control tower for permission to take off. And from here, a series of back-to-back confusion started. These two planes were not visible from the control tower due to fog, and neither was there a radar system installed at this airport. At this point, the control tower began telling KLM which route to take after takeoff. But nowhere in this message was he given permission to take off. But KLM thought that perhaps they had received permission to take off. And the KLM captain replied, "We are at takeoff." Now actually whether he said, "We are at takeoff" or "We are taking off," it is not clear yet. But in response to this, the control tower said, "Okay." But after a gap of a few seconds, the control tower cleared it. "Stand by for takeoff, I'll call you." This was a very important message in which it was clearly stated not to take off now. But this message did not reach the cockpit of KLM because at that time the pilot of Pan Am Flight 736, who was on the runway near C3 and was listening to this entire conversation, also relayed a message, "We are still down the runway." That is, the control tower's message to KLM to remain on standby and Pan Am's message were both relayed at the same time, due to which only a distortion-like sound was heard in KLM's cockpit. Pan Am Flight 736, which had now inadvertently crossed C3, was told by the control tower to inform them when they exit the runway, to which the Pan Am pilots replied, "Okay." But by this time, the captain of KLM Flight 4805 had raised the thrust levers, understanding that permission for the control tower has been obtained. Now here, the KLM flight engineer had heard the control tower's message to Pan Am Flight, and he immediately informed the captain that they were still on the runway. But I don't know why, the captain probably understood something else in the noise and just said, "Oh yes," and the takeoff continued. Due to fog, he could see only an area of 300 meters. Meanwhile, suddenly, the pilots of Pan Am saw headlights amidst the fog on the runway. At first they thought that perhaps the KLM flight was stalled, but the very next moment he realized that it was moving rapidly towards them. They immediately tried to turn the ship, but it was too late now. The KLM's right engine blew away the Pan Am's first-class portion. The landing gear also broke and the plane fell 150 meters away on the runway and a huge fire broke out in it. Because its fuel tank was completely full, the intensity of the fire can be easily imagined. All the 248 passengers present in it died on the spot. There, the passengers of Pan Am flight did not even get a chance to think what had happened. The first-class passengers died on the spot. But many passengers in the economy class below got a chance to escape through the hole in the roof. Many saved their lives by jumping from a height of 20 feet. Out of the 396 passengers of Pan Am flight, only 61 survived. Perhaps many people could have survived, but due to fog, the control tower came to know about the accident sometime later. That too when another plane standing on the apron saw flames flaring on the runway and informed the control tower.
Rescue service vehicles were also unable to move fast due to the fog. A total of 583 lives were lost in this accident in the blink of an eye. During the investigation, the cockpit voice recorders of both ships were examined, and this is where all the details that you have seen in this video were revealed. The investigation team concluded that there was a chain of events behind this accident. First, the bomb blast at Las Palmas, then KLM filling its fuel tank at Tenerife Airport and blocking the taxiway. If he had not done so, Pan Am Flight 736 would have taken off earlier. Then suddenly visibility drops and Pan Am misses the C3 exit. But the investigation team held the crew of KLM Flight 4805 responsible for this accident, because after all, he continued taking off without permission, whereas 5 seconds earlier the flight engineer had stopped the captain. The Tenerife Airport disaster proved to be a wake-up call for the entire aviation industry. After this accident, many changes were seen in the aviation industry. Call signs was changed, their rules were changed, radar was made mandatory at all airports, and the presence of holding points and indicators on runways was made mandatory. Today, there are 2 airports on the island of Tenerife. The place where this accident happened is Northern Airport, whereas a new airport has also been built in the south, whose height is low and their visibility is not affected due to clouds and fog. I hope you will like and share this video of Game Studio a lot. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next amazing video.